Are we seeing an identity shift in this particular version of the Philadelphia 76ers? And that identity / personality is a direct reflection of the NBA's leading scorer at 37 points per game. His name is Tyrese Maxey. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show live from the Xfinity Lounge. Got the gang back in town. Derek, Kyle, I'm Devon. Bree is here, the president of basketball operations. All of you in the chat, love to see you as always right away. Make sure that while you're hanging out with us, you hit that like button. Hit that like button. Say what's up to everybody. Hit that like button while you're in here. We are presented by Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365. And let's keep getting those subscriber numbers going up, folks. Please subscribe. Tell a friend to tell another friend and tell another friend that we are here discussing the 3-0, the undefeated Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, he returns tonight after missing game one of the first night of the back-to-back. We get a Trendon Watford sighting tonight.
He lives!
As he makes his Sixers debut. We got to talk a little bit about Kelly Oubre as well, see if we can fit that in. Our Bet365 picks a little bit later. Bree makes her return to making some selections after Rich and I go 0 for 2 last night in our
You stray
picks.
from betting Bree and you pay the price.
Exactly. So everybody, let's get right into it. We got the guys back in the building for this road game against the Washington Wizards, where we get to see Tre Johnson too, Derek. We get to see him for the first time this season. And as we talk about the Sixers here, the high-powered offense that this is, the 5th highest-scoring offense in the NBA right now with what they're putting up. Last night they hung 136 on the Orlando Magic, and they needed every bit of that 136, Kyle, in that one. But with this basketball team being where they are right now, 5th in the NBA and scoring at 126 points per game. We'll talk about the defense later, but let's start off with the offense because we've seen Joel Embiid for 2 games. We did not see him for this last game against the Orlando Magic. And again, they hung 136. We were curious of how it was going to look against the Magic, and they came right out, man. 30-plus points in the first quarter, and they put up 136 overall. Tyrese Maxey explodes 94 between Maxey, Edgecombe, and Oubre. What are you seeing in these first 3 games from this offense ranked 5th in the NBA?
Well, if saying they're the 5th ranked offense, you're even underselling it a little bit. Part of that's because they just don't play at a very fast pace. Even though they've made it more of an emphasis, they still are not
crazy,
compared to the rest of the league playing at I think they're like 21st in pace, so a little bit below average. But on a per possession basis, they have the number 1 ranked offense in the NBA right now.
Excuse me, everybody, my fault.
Which is
shortchanging the boys, Devon.
Yes, I am.
It's wild, right? It's absolutely considering what we watched last year. It's absolutely wild. So part of it, like we can sit here and get into, yeah, they're shooting the absolute heck out of the ball right now. Like I think they're shooting like 46% on above the break threes. Put that in perspective. You know, last year, I think the best team in the league shot about 39%. League average was right around 35, 36%. So they're legitimately shooting like 10% better than an average team. That's going to help a lot. Part of that is because the people that are shooting those shots, some of them, we'll get to the others, like Tyrese Maxey are elite shooters. And right now, Tyrese Maxey is on one of the best heaters. Only 3 games, but in terms of a 3-game stretch, this is maybe as well as he's ever played. I think he's shooting something like 51% from 3-point range on almost 10 attempts per game. When that happens, you are going to score some points. Then you've got other players like VJ, who we didn't necessarily expect to shoot all that well or thought might struggle. He's shooting well. Kelly, who career has not been a good 3-point shooter, is making his shots. And you are just getting contributions from up and down the roster. And then you are, running a little bit more than you were last year. And I referenced the pace numbers. I don't necessarily love that because there's 2, aspects to pace. Are you generating opportunities early in the shot clock? And if not, then does the game slow down? You get into your offensive sets. Like that second one isn't necessarily a bad thing. The goal with pace a lot of times is to get shots early in the clock when defenses aren't set. And if that doesn't happen, then yeah, you can take that back out, run it through Joel Embiid, run it through Paul George eventually when he gets here, slow down the pace, and that still be good offense. So I think they're getting some leak out opportunities, maybe not as much as you would expect. Like right now, they're just not forcing turnovers at the rate that they were last year and usually do on Nick Nurse. So I expect them to pick up the pace a little bit. In fact, if you told me they were forcing so few turnovers, their pace ranking of 21st, I think is actually pretty good. Like I think they're running off of live rebounds pretty well. They just got to get those, live ball turnovers back. And I think they will be off to the races. But I think the floor right now is very well spaced, and you're seeing guys like VJ especially Tyrese as well, where the driving lanes are just more open than they were in previous years, and they're taking better advantage of it. And there's a lot more movement, and there's guys moving off ball. They're setting, I think, better, more intentional screens. And you're just seeing guys like VJ just bounce off of people in the lane, get to his spots, and really attack. It has been a good combination of they have the shooting from the perimeter, they have the guys who can take people off the bounce, a little bit of creativity from Nurse that we didn't see all last year. And I think that's all combining to be a really, really fun offensive attack right now.
So here's the beauty of all this, right? Some of the number one offense is driven by some unsustainable stuff happening with shooting. But arguably, two of the three best shooters on the team are not playing right now. They are going to bring Paul George and Jared McCain back into this lineup. And so, if they stop making some of these above the break threes, Eric Gordon hit a couple of bombs last night, right? From 25 to 30 feet out. Maybe you're not making those, but you should be able to start getting more threes from top of the lineup type of guys, top of the rotation type of players, right? And you brought up pace, Derek. I think there are a lot of caveats to make with how fast they're playing. Like, yes, overall, their pace is not all that fast compared to the rest of the league, but their selectiveness with pace, I think, has been really good. And I think even in the half court, Tyrese Maxey talked about this a lot last night. Part of the reason that Nurse and Morey and Brand, he said, came to him in exit interviews and said, we're going to run more. We need you to get the ball up the floor more. And then got that message a second time after they drafted VJ. Like, look, we drafted this dude. You and him are going to get up and down the floor. Is that Tyrese described it as a lot of teams don't want to run. They don't want to keep up with you, right? We see that on the other side with the Sixers, where their transition defense, I would say, is probably one of the more concerning stories of the early going as they've gotten off to this 3-0 start. But by the same token, other teams do not want to have to chase VJ Edgecombe in transition. Other teams do not want to chase Tyrese Maxey in transition. The opposing big man, when Adembona is on the floor, does not want to sprint to keep up with him, does not want to sprint to keep up with Barlow and some of these younger bigs, right? And there have been trade-offs for the Sixers playing three-guard lineups and relatively smaller than a lot of the league, right? We saw that against Orlando last night where Paolo and Franz and the multiple bigs they can bring in that are quality level players in the NBA. They're killing them inside. They're drawing fouls left and right. But the Sixers have a speed advantage basically any time that they take the floor. And better than that, because the league has gotten so wing and 3-4, 2-3 heavy, when you put two guys like Maxey and VJ next to one another with the high-end speed and athleticism that those guys have, if you put the best backcourt defender on one of those guys, the other guy is more than likely not going to be a very good defender if he's a guard. And if it's a wing, I'm taking Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe in foot races against basically any wing in the NBA, save for maybe a guy or two, right? So there are going to be trade-offs for playing this way. But by committing to this style, by bringing Grimes in, by McCain is going to be in these three-guard lineups when he comes back, they are going to be able to score a lot of points and put teams in matchup jail the same way that they're going to get hit on the other end by size. So it's been really fun to watch. It's also been very effective.
Yeah. No, and when I bring up pace, it was more to explain why their points per game is lower than you would expect, because they're just not getting as many possessions. That is not necessarily in itself a bad thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I didn't bring up during that and why their offense has been so good, they are commit the fewest turnovers in the league. And that is something I think is largely sustainable when you're talking about Tyrese Maxey historically has been a low turnover player, and VJ Edgecombe has been a low turnover player. Tyrese right now I think has like a 6-to-1 assist to turnover ratio.
Crazy.
When you protect the ball like that while scoring in that volume with that efficiency, you're going to have a pretty good offense.
They got through last night's first three quarters with just 2 turnovers. Yeah. 2 turnovers in the first 36 minutes of the game. And that was very important for the Sixers. Gives them a chance every single time out. Last night when Kyle joined us on the postgame show, he talked about every time Tyrese Maxey rises up, it looks like it's just going to go in. That's the type of rhythm that he is in right now. He's the leading scorer in the NBA at 37 points per game through 3. What will he do tonight against the Washington Wizards? We'll give you the starting lineup when we get back, talk about Joel Embiid being back, his adjustment to this new look offense. Can he keep up with the pace? And what about Trendon Watford and his debut? We'll discuss it all when we get back. Sixers Wizards at 7 o'clock. We're talking about it right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by, I'm going to talk about this great people on the other side. And that's Bet365, everybody. Yes, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You know it's not ordinary? Playing like 20 innings in a World Series baseball game. That's not ordinary. But maybe you had live betting with that as it was playing out as the game went on for Game 3, which LA ultimately won. But you can make those bets right there at Bet365, becoming one of the 90 million users worldwide. How about in the NBA? It's a lot of games going on, including your basketball team and NBA Tip-Off Tuesdays. Never ordinary. Let me tell you about NBA Tip-Off Tuesdays and their offer. Place qualifying same-game parlay bet with the safety net bet feature on Tuesday of the NBA games and get up to $10 in bonus bets if the bet loses. Terms and conditions obviously apply. If you're a new user and you want to sign up, you get $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up using the code PHLY365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Sign up once again. Use code PHLY365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And also, Elkins Chevrolet. Told everybody I drive a Chevy. It's pretty comfortable. I like it. It fits me a little bit. Maybe it fits you as well. Basketball fans, football fans, all of you, hockey fans. You know who's playing some pretty good level of basketball right now? Your basketball team. And you know who's playing pretty good level with car dealerships? You know it. Elkins Chevrolet, every day located on Route 73 South in Marlton, New Jersey. Run by the brothers, three brothers, Jason, Adam, and Josh. The guys are in the store every day. They're the best, working to make sure they have a huge lineup of Chevys at the best price and providing honkin' good service. No turnovers, just assist. That's what they're giving you right now. Real brothers, no drama, running a local business and backing every deal like it's the championship game. So if you're in the market for a new Chevy, make your next move to Elkins Chevrolet. Real brothers, real deals, and a whole lot of honking good service. Shop now at elkinschevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
I think the Sixers are pretty honking good.
Yes, they are.
Now.
Yes,
Speaking
they are. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show presented by Bet365. Hit that like button, everybody. Get those likes up. Hit the subscribe button as well. Keep it going. We'll be with you post-game 10 minutes after the buzzer hits 0. We'll be with you right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show discussing maybe 4-0 for your Philadelphia 76ers. Kyle, let's get to Joel Embiid. The starting lineup is out. Bree, if you don't mind, the starting lineup tonight has a new look to it because Dominic Barlow is out. So the normal 5 not available, but VJ Edgecombe with Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt, Kelly Oubre and Joel Embiid in the front court once again. Justin Edwards gets the nod tonight over players like Adembona, Jabari Walker as well, who
struggled last night, by the way.
Yes, and Quentin Grimes keeping him in his normal role as the sixth man off the bench. Joel Embiid, this fast-paced offense that Derek talked about, he played in the first 2. They scored a lot of points. They were getting up and down, but he was on the 20-minute restrictions from the medical staff and the coaches. And with it, he did his part. 4 points in the first game, not so great. Bounces back with the 20 in game number 2. After seeing it last night and evaluating what they did last night, how do you see him adjusting back to what they were doing last night to keep the pace? And the fact that they played last night and he didn't, how will he help them?
Well, here's the thing, right? We talk about what he is going to have to do to adjust. I think what Maxey and VJ have made clear is they're going to play their way, and it doesn't matter if Joel's on the floor, doesn't matter if Paul is on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 confident and productive young men, and they consider themselves, they are carrying themselves like the leaders of the team. And I don't think this is a situation where Joel is coming back into the lineup saying, like, this is my team, and planting his flag and saying, we got to walk it up and down every time. I think the adjustment is simply what we saw in that initial preseason game, which is hit-ahead passes, making plays out of the post as a passer, right? Looking for cutters. Frankly, he's going to be more of a pick-and-pop guy, a high-volume three-point shooter. I'm not going to say that he's going to be Brook Lopez in that respect, right? But it's clear that they want to use him in high screen and rolls. And Rich pointed out, which I thought was a smart thing to point out on the post-game show last night, they're using a lot more Spain pick and roll this year. It's been something that they want to get VJ Edgecombe going with. And so using Joel as the first screen in that look. So I don't think he needs to do anything other than allow what's happening to happen, right? Joel is a really skilled, very smart basketball player, right? His limitations are not about what he can do on the offensive end of the floor. It's about how conditioned he is, how well he can move, and what he does defensively. Because defensively is where they have the biggest problems right now, right? Their offense has been able to mask or cover up the fact that they just cannot get stops on a regular basis right now. And a healthy Joel, a Joel who can protect the rim, rebound fairly well, and just bring an interior presence on that end of the floor is going to be the difference between what they are right now, which is fun, but probably a team that will go through big swoons when they're not scoring the basketball, and a team that will be able to keep a high base level because, okay, we go through a dry spell on offense, but if you get the stops on the other end of the floor and you're not giving it back where teams are able to go on 8, 10, 12, 15-point runs, you're going to be able to survive some cold stretches for the offense, which right now are coming in the third quarter. So I don't much worry about him on offense because I think he sees what is happening and is smart enough to roll with it, on top of the fact that when things do get junked up, you still have the ability to throw the ball to a 7-foot weapon with every shot and every move in the bag, right? So I worry about him not at all on that end, and I'm hoping that we continue to see him progress in terms of how physical, how athletic, how quick he looks, because that's going to make a huge difference defensively if he does.
Yeah. The number one thing they need to do to run more is to get more stops. And a lot of times throughout the first three games, look, Drummond had a fantastic game the other night on Saturday. But for the most part, rim protection hasn't really been there. Outside of the first half or so with Bona last night, the rim protection has been lacking. So if Joel wants to help get them ignited and get that break ignited, get stops, get rebounds. And they just haven't gotten enough of them over the first three games. That is where he can make the most impact. And that is something that, I think we're all trying to figure out exactly how much he can give you. Like, I don't think any of us expect 2019 all-world defender Joel Embiid to return, or at least I'm not saying it's impossible, probably unlikely, but it's certainly not the expectation given all he's gone through with injuries. But where can he find a way to make an impact and help get them out on the floor? I think that's how he fits into the offense in a weird way of going about it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, again, against another athletic big and Sarr when he's out there, see how he defends him. Sarr does like to play on the perimeter a little bit, so pulling Joel Embiid away from the basket. What will we see there? What do you make of the Edwards getting the nod there in that spot?
It's interesting mostly because, while he did have the good second half performance against Charlotte the other night, largely this has been a tough go for Justin throughout summer league, preseason, early part of the year. But I like it as a vote of confidence for Nurse. Like, you don't want to throw Watford. I'm sure Watford's on a pretty low minute count after the long absence and the hamstring issue, right? Jabari Walker struggled for long periods of last night. In fact, after his fifth foul in the third quarter, I believe he never came back in the game. And so with no Barlow, you don't have a lot of options for size. And so Nurse ultimately said, I'm going to put a shooter on the floor and hope that you can switch between Oubre, Edwards, and maybe VJ, right? Like, this is not a Wizards team that is bringing the size that Orlando is, right? So you should be able to cope with what they're throwing out there with this type of personnel, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so with that, let's continue before we get to the Watford and what we think might be there with the minute restriction. Staying on Kelly Oubre here and what he has been able to do through the first three games. Last night, he scored 25 points. He had tied the game high in rebounds, Derek, with 10. Knew you needed rebounding help with Joel Embiid out and Dominic Barlow. Adem Bona, not known as much of a rebounder, and Drummond, because of Bona's playing well, it just the minutes weren't really there for both of them. It just didn't work out. So somebody had to rebound, And yes, VJ Edgecombe has been rebounding, he's been getting in there. But Kelly Oubre, man, just the way that he is playing through the first 3 games, going in there, 10 rebounds last night, playing the good defense, getting his hand in there and getting steals and disrupting the flow of the offense, knocking down threes, which I know is a big point of contention when we talk about him. But so far, just fantastic basketball from Kelly Oubre and what he's been able to do.
Yeah, no, look, 18 points, 5 rebounds, shooting 40% from 3 on, I believe, 15 attempts so far. And I agree with some of what Kyle said last night because I was sitting in the room doing some work while he was on the show with you guys. Some of them early on were like, I don't know about that. Oh, it went in
I
great.
agree. We were saying it.
But if they go in, baby.
First of all, they went in. It's an important part of basketball.
Yeah.
Second of all, I do agree with Kyle. I don't think he's been forcing it as much. Like if those first couple of shots don't go in, I'm not worried that he's going to completely go rogue and take over the offense like I was maybe 2 years ago. Now, part of that, there's a lot more options on the floor. He probably doesn't feel like he needs to, but he's willing to take that step back, and I trust him more than I did a couple years ago. But also, when you're given the kind of defensive effort that he was, and in that first quarter especially, him and Bona, kind of combining to get them out on the break and really spring that transition game, he was a massive part of that. So when you are crashing the glass, and he talked after the game about how he knows that has to be a focus of his given the roster construction, when you play defense the way that he did, when you help get them out in the break, I'm going to let him go off script offensively, even if he doesn't make those first couple of shots, more than I otherwise am willing to. I am going to remain a skeptic on Kelly Oubre's 3-point shot. There's just too much data out there over the course of his long NBA career for me to ignore that. But he is continuing to do what we've talked about in the past, which is he's just giving you so much elsewhere, and he's one of your more versatile defenders that you are going to live with some level of shooting slumps with Kelly, which I do think are probably going to come, but he's doing just about everything else you could hope for.
Look, to your point, Derek, I can live with a few nonsense shots if they come. If you play that hard and you do things that are centered around trying to win the game, right? Because Kelly Oubre in past stops and previous people who played with him or coached him, whoever probably would have told you like, yeah, look, the numbers are good, but this guy was concerned about the numbers in his own play, maybe more than the results was kind of the book on him. And since he has been here, while at times he has been Kelly Oubre on offense, which is you're riding the roller coaster a little bit, the other side of the ball has been super consistent, right? Yeah. Especially over the last year. We said it all throughout last season. Even as that year got dark and, guys are not completely packing it in, but certainly not playing as hard and they're letting go of the rope. Kelly Oubre was playing very good defense for a lot of last season, right? And trying to chip away at the problems they had because so many other guys weren't healthy. And I applaud this guy for finding himself and finding his role here because he just seems to have such a better understanding of what the team needs night to night to get it done. And so I'm sure we're probably due for some kind of crazy 1 for 8, 1 for 9 Kelly Oubre game at some point in the future. But frankly, as long as he's doing all this stuff defensively, rebounding and playing the way that this team needs him on the wing because they just don't have wing options, I can live with the difficult shots and a bunch of other stuff.
And look, there's probably going to be, because the number of non-shooters on the floor is something I'm always going to focus on. So there's probably going to be some lineup constructions where I'm probably going to wince a little bit when they put Kelly on that floor. That's more of a skill set thing than a Kelly specific thing. There's just, like I said, a lot of their best defensive lineups are going to be spacing it challenged, but he has given you, Kyle, your guys' point about his defensive versatility and how much he matters is absolutely true. He has been a linchpin for them to try to keep them even remotely competitive on that end.
He's been fantastic so far. The season gets to start once again tonight against the Wizards. Trendon Watford making his Sixers debut. Derek, minute restrictions, we would imagine. What are you looking for from him tonight in Game 1 for whatever he can give?
Nothing, if I'm being honest. It's his first game back. He's been off for a while. You're just hoping for him to get back on the floor, kind of really rip the Band-Aid off, and get back towards playing productive basketball. I have no idea how big his role is going to be. I have no idea how much you're going to ask him to do. I have no idea how ready he is. When you haven't played any games or any preseason games, really hasn't played much basketball in the last month and a half or whatever it's been. I'm just happy to get him back on the floor so you can then start that process of getting him ramped up.
Throw it in the jar.
It's down there somewhere.
That one was
I would say,
intentional.
number one, get through the game healthy,
Yeah.
right? Because he has been out for a while. What was called a minor thing, it is a hamstring, so everyone's always very cautious about those. Get out of it unscathed, most importantly. But I want to see what the combination play looks like between him and the guards, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does it look like with him in the short roll? He is, in theory, as we talked about in the offseason, a great short roll target and a guy that when Maxey gets trapped, if teams begin to play pressure defense against VJ Edgecombe, which I would imagine is coming, right? Orlando threw a little bit at him last night toward the end of the game. Those guys are going to need a release valve. Watford is a very good one if he ends up serving in that role. And then how's he moving defensively? What does he look like in terms of who can he play next to, right? You talk a lot about what are the combinations that work. A lot of times that's shooting and spacing and how does it all work around Joel Embiid. But what are the defensive pairings that work with Watford? Who do you want him next to? Are you playing him as a true 4, right? Or is he even a 3 in some goofy lineups? Like, I don't know how Nick Nurse wants to use him because we have zero evidence of it. So a lot's on the table. I would expect probably no more than 10, maybe 15 minutes at most. But whatever we get, I will be watching with a lot of intrigue.
Yeah, I just want to see, because of the stuff that they've talked about so much and how they're going to use them, or the possibility of using them. I'm very curious to see, especially with the guards, of how that looks. And even Joel Embiid with Trendon Watford when they are out there. I'm very curious to see how that pairing works out with those two. His ability to, as we talk about the kick ahead passes to get things started, sometimes it's going to be him that's at 3/4 court and you have to kick it out. How does that all work out once they get out there in the open floor with Trendon Watford? Glad that he's back. Looking forward to seeing what he has. We'll wait on the others, Jared McCain, Paul George, and even Dominic Barlow, to get back to see this team at its full complement. The starters for the Washington Wizards tonight: CJ McCollum, Bub Carrington, Kaishan George, who had a career high 34 points last week, knocking down threes, looked really good. Chris Middleton and Alex Sarr. That's the starting 5 for the Washington Wizards. Let's get to the Bet365 picks, our picks segment, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, I missed my Sixers pick last night. I missed it by 1 because I had Drummond getting over 9.5 rebounds. He had 6. I thought he would get more. Obviously, that did not work out. Rich went with 25 plus for Franz Wagner. He had 24, so he did not quite reach that number. And so we went over. So Bree is back. And with Bree being back, by the way, I did hit the Kansas City-Washington game last night at Bet365. So I went, 1 for 2.
Yeah,
Bree,
nobody cares. Get the game that you cover.
my
right?
bad. But it gave me an opportunity to make the bet. Bree's bets under 239.5 points tonight between the two teams. And Maxey, 3+ threes made. That's at a +190 for Bree's bets tonight. How you feeling about the 239.5 under?
I think that's probably logically
120,
the right way,
120.
just because it's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Good call by Bree right there. And Maxey's been on fire, as you mentioned. So that sounds about right. And what did I have? Kelly Oubre, 5+ rebounds. And our guy, Tre, 2+.
I'm excited for this one, man.
2+
Like, I don't know what the
threes
Sixers will
made.
have on the back-to-back, but we get to watch Tre tonight.
Well, and I
It'll be
told
fun.
Kyle last night at the game, it's a win-win. Either he plays well and the guy that we had ranked 3rd, we get to say that we were right, or he plays poorly and VJ dominates again.
I think
Win-win.
we're right regardless because Tre is good. Just they got to take an L tonight so the Sixers can improve to 4-0. Those are our Bet365 picks, courtesy of Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Sign up to become a member. PHLY 365 to sign up. James checks in. Let's go 4-0, fellas. Let's go for a trade. Keep cut. Edwards, Barlow, Watford.
Brother, we haven't even
Not
watched
yet.
one of these guys play
Not
yet.
yet. Not yet, James.
James
We'll get
will
there.
have to shelve that one, I think.
We'll get there. Don't forget the Diehard voicemail call-in line. Check in for that for the post game. We'll be back with you 10 minutes after the game goes final to get your instant reaction about this basketball game and ours as well. For Derek, Kyle, Bree, I'm Devon. We'll be back after the game. Sixers, Wizards coming up. 4-0? Why not? See you after the game right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show.
We all silly like the mayor.